So every year, my goal is to always beat at least 12 games, that being one coinciding with each month. And this year, I successfully did it again. How's it going, everyone? Taze in here. And in this video, this is a nice cap off to the end of 2019, going over every single game and JRPG I beat in 2019. And this year's been fantastic. I've beaten a collection of some very modern games and some games that have been out for quite some time now. And I've just been so impressed in general with all the games that have come out this year. There've just been so many that literally I've not even been able to beat them all as they come out, because we've just had great ones come out so close to each other. Like, for example, we had Jedi Fallen Order and the new Pokemon games come out on exactly the same day. So, I mean, it's just been crazy even in the past couple of months. So going off firstly from the beginning of the year, the first game that I beat was Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. This is the HD version on the PlayStation 4. This is a great game to beat. So Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in February, so it was great to finally beat Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance just prior to that. It was a good way to go straight into Kingdom Hearts 3, especially Dream Drop Distance being one of the final game story-wise leading into Kingdom Hearts 3. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'd never played it before on the 3DS, so it was good to finally actually play this game in the series. I thought the story was great. It did introduce some more so confusing elements. For me, it wasn't too confusing because I'd been playing all the Kingdom Hearts games as they were coming out right up until the Kingdom Hearts 3 release. So for me, I knew a lot about the stories all from over 10 years now. So that was great. It was a good length. It took me about maybe 35 hours or so to play all the way through, and I think I put about 40 or so hours into it. Great challenging difficulty too, especially going on the hardest mode that's available to you. It's Proud mode at first is hardest. Once you beat it, then it unlocks critical for another playthrough. But Proud mode was actually quite challenging, so I really enjoyed that to it. And then it led me straight into the second game I beat in 2019, that being Kingdom Hearts 3. Now this game is something that has been very anticipated. It was probably my most anticipated game for many, many years. And I really enjoyed it. I do think there were some things though that left me a bit underwhelmed, I should say. One being the game felt very easy on the hardest mode that was available to you at launch. I know it's since received a critical mode via patch. It felt quite quick to me for a Kingdom Hearts game, and it did clearly feel like there were some things that were left out or missing. But with the Remind DLC for the game, I think that somewhat is going to be able to build on a lot of those things that I felt was missing and probably create the complete experience that I was looking for at the beginning. But overall, it was wrapping up so many games before it. So in saying that though, I think it was a fantastic game. It looked beautiful. The combat was really cool. I loved a lot of the Keyblade transformations and stuff. So all in all, I think it was a great game, and it was one that I was very excited to get. Going on to the third game that I beat in 2019, the third JRPG for the year too, and that being Lost Odyssey on the Xbox 360. This game is definitely in my top 10 games I've beaten in my life. This game is beautiful. It's a really special game, a really special story, and one that I put, from memory, I think I did 83 hours in the game. And there's still more that I can do. I'm sure I could push it up to 100 hours just with some of the final sort of side quests and stuff for the game. Beautiful story. Really, really rich in storytelling, emotion, going over perspective and context of different people's stories and how their memories shape the way they perceive things, how they feel. And honestly, that I could go on for hours. I think it's a game that you could really write a lot of essays about. It's just, there's so much depth to war, human emotion, behavior, and I just think it was something that really fascinated me a lot. I really very much enjoyed the memory sequences. If you don't know about them, they're these almost visual novel style written sequences that are presented to you throughout the game, and they're written by a Japanese award-winning novelist, and they're so beautiful. They're really emotionally evocative. I was brought to tears in some form, probably in almost all of them. They were really beautiful. They're ones that I would love to read again. And honestly, I hope this game might one day get a remaster in some form, just so people who have never played it, may not have an Xbox 360 or any Xbox console, are not able to play it, so remaster may allow them to then go and play the game. But if you do have an Xbox One, for example, the game is available digitally, or it's also got the physical backwards compatibility where if you put in disc 1 of the game, then it will actually download a copy of the game for free, and all you need to use is disc 1 of the game as obviously the key to access it instead of needing to pay for it digitally. But going on to the 4th game that I beat in 2019, one that I am very happy won Game of the Year for action game, I should say, so action game of the year, that being Devil May Cry 5. Oh my gosh, this game was fantastic. The story hit all the points exactly where I hoped. It was beyond my expectation in terms of the way everything just unfolded story-wise. The combat was so awesome. I really love it. It had a really cool feel, and it didn't feel, I don't know how to say, it didn't feel like it was just too easy of a hack and slash. And obviously there are different difficulty modes, but the normal difficulty mode I think was a great balance in difficulty compared to the others. I know some people have said that it felt a bit easier, the normal difficulty, than others, but I feel like the normal difficulty in the previous Devil May Cry games actually felt quite a bit challenging, to the point that maybe it frustrated some people. So I think they hit it just right. But the story, what we got in it, I love how it really tied in everything from the previous games and gave us this absolutely fantastic story. I'm so glad it won Action Game of the Year, and to me it is my game of the year. That is obviously speaking from the games that came out this year that I played and enjoyed. I haven't obviously been able to play all of them, but that one, absolute standout. And moving on to the 5th game that I beat in 2019, one that was actually Game of the Year for 2018, that being God of War. This game definitely deserves Game of the Year. I was very, very, very surprised by how much I enjoyed this game. It was my first entry into the God of War series, and it was just the best way I describe it is this game valued my time every single second of the way, from start to finish. Nothing felt mundane or strenuous. Every bit of time that I spent in the game had really valuable storytelling. Even if you're going off to side quests, you're always getting a lot of voice acted dialogue in between. Side quests didn't necessarily feel like side quests, they just felt like parts of the story and the world and just discovering something. And it all felt quite contained. You were sort of around this lake, and it didn't feel so expansive that you were just spending forever getting to one side of a map or something like a big open world game. It all felt nicely contained. The way I describe it is like Zelda Ocarina of Time. You've got Hyrule Field, and then you just sort of got everything around it. And oh my gosh, the gameplay felt really solid. I played it on the hard difficulty, so it was very challenging at first. And one that had an awesome challenge right throughout for me. The story, it's marvelous. Really glad I played this, and I really want to thank a friend of mine for gifting me this for my birthday the previous year, or I should say for Christmas the previous year. I'm very grateful for that, and this is an experience I'll never forget, so I'll never forget the gift that you gave me for this. Thank you so much for that. And now moving on to the 6th game that I beat in 2019, and that was Rhyme. This game is a great short indie game, really awesome storytelling. It's about a 6-hour long game, and I actually beat it twice. I went back to back and beat it a second time, and that was part of platinuming the game. But there is sort of like a secret or an additional part to the ending if you do certain things. So I replayed the whole game to really experience the story again, get all those final trophies, and get that final ending. And wow, it really brought me to tears, this game. It was very emotional at the end. Like, it really hits you what the story is about, and I don't want to spoil that for anyone, but I think it was a very special experience, I'll call it that. So the Tequila Works and Grey Box, fantastic game. I really enjoy this, and I highly recommend you play Rhyme, specifically on the PlayStation 4. I've heard the Switch has a few issues and stuff, bugginess, but PS4 can't complain, and you can get it quite cheap. And moving on to the 7th game that I beat 2019, and this is actually probably going down as my favorite indie slash Metroidvania style platformer, I should say, side scrolling sort of world exploration platformer. That is Ori and the Blind Forest. This is a game that was recommended to me many times over the years, and one I finally got. I managed to get the PC version of this. I would love to get the physical Xbox version, but that wasn't released physically in my region. It got a physical release in North America on the Xbox. So in Australia, the only physical release we got here was the PC version. But now it's on the Switch too, and Ori, the actual character animations are in 60 frames per second, as well as everything around you. It's got HD rumble and stuff, so I would love to play it there. But the story was great. Again, another very emotional game. One standout for me was the fluidity of the movements. Everything felt really rewarding when you overcame a challenge. And the challenge wasn't so much in terms of taking down enemies, it was really traversing the environments, and especially under certain circumstances when you complete sort of a dungeon per se. But one of the huge standouts for me was the music. I think the composer's name's Gareth Choker. I'm not 100% sure on this. Fortunately, this purchase allowed me to get a digital download of the soundtrack on Steam, and I love listening to it. Absolutely beautiful music, and I'm very much excited for Ori and the Will of the Wisps for 2020. It's something that is very much an exciting game for me to play coming up. Now, the 8th and 9th game that I beat in 2019 was in fact Spyro 2 and Spyro 3 Remake. Great remakes to the games. The only downside I have to this is that it says here requires content download, because not all of the 3 games are on the disc. There are parts of the 2nd and 3rd game, to my knowledge, that are mandatory downloads in order to be able to play the games. So it is a bit sad that, you know, when servers shut down and stuff, we essentially won't have the full game right here. But that aside, really like them. They played well. It's a good nostalgic trip down memory lane. I went and platinumed the 2nd game and the 3rd game. And then the 1st game I beat last year, but after beating the 2nd and 3rd and platinuming them, I went back and got the platinum for the 1st game. That was great, and they're about a 10 or so hour experience. That's especially going for the platinums. So again, I think that's a good amount of time to put in a game and get a platinum out of it too. And I think it's very iconic of the Sony PlayStation history there, Spyro the Dragon. Fantastic games. The 10th game I beat in 2019 was another indie game called Abzu. This is a really cool game. It's about a 2 or so hour long game. One I beat twice also, that being to get the platinum. No, actually, excuse me on that. I didn't beat it twice. I did the ending part twice because there are some things that you have to do to go back and get some of the final trophies. But single playthrough, 2 or so hours, so I spent about 3.5 hours on it, getting the, not platinum I should say actually, just getting 100% of the trophies. That was the one thing I was actually a bit disappointed by. It doesn't have a platinum for it. So if you get 100% of the trophies, you got the 100%, but no platinum. But this is a very interesting experience. It is reminiscent of Journey in ways, but it was very beautiful. It played very well, also very nice music. But a very short experience, but still it's something that I will recommend if you find it for quite a good price. Going on to the 11th game that I beat in 2019. This game is one that I also wanted to play for some time because I'm very much into sci-fi, futuristic sci-fi, and especially sort of like Beyond Earth. And that was Recore, the definitive edition. So this is a really fun game. It definitely does have some bugs to it. Definitely some glitchiness and stuff. I did play it on Xbox One S, and this does have Xbox One X enhanced capabilities, so I can't speak for how well it will play on the Xbox One X. But overall, it's very fun platforming. I believe it's Keiji Inafune who is part of the main development team of this game. He is the Mega Man creator. And honestly, really cool story. It felt like there's more that can be told in this story going forward. Unfortunately, it didn't do the best commercially and critically, so I don't know if it will get a sequel, but the story we got in this game was great. Again, the platforming shooter style aspect to it was very fun indeed. I spent my time doing pretty much everything you can do in the game, and it took me about 25 hours or so, and I had so much fun the entire way through. One thing about it being the definitive edition, I've heard sort of some of the mixed reception to this game was for the original release of it. And from what I've heard, the definitive edition, everything it added, some of the fixes it made, really gave it or turned it into the version that should have been from the beginning, or at least a positive experience. And I had a very positive experience with this game. Again, besides that bugginess and glitchiness, which may not be the case on the Xbox One X, I thought it was a great game. So if you do find that, especially the Definitive Edition, I recommend playing it if you get it for a good price. And moving lastly on to the 12th and final game I beat in 2019. This is a fantastic remake. Absolutely fantastic remake, and that is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. The art style was something that I wasn't sure of at first, or I should say I wasn't sure of the art style for the character model, sort of the bit of the claymation. But it worked, because as I got so immersed in the game, it just felt so natural to me. It did feel slightly different again for Zelda. Maybe there will be more of an even positive response if it had more of the character models of like A Link Between Worlds and stuff from the 3DS and stuff. But they gave us a remake of a classic game with a unique take on the visual side of it. So it stands out for its uniqueness in that way. And in saying that, I definitely think, you know, that is something that will be remembered by this game. And it was a really cool story. Really cool story. One that is different. It doesn't involve Zelda in it. It's not in Hyrule per se, so it is focusing on some different things in the Zelda world. And I think it was a really emotional ending for me. I played it straight up on the hardest mode. There were two modes. I played on the hard mode, and I did a no death run. That was definitely, it definitely frustrated me at sometimes. I would have to reset, especially because when you would lose hearts, you couldn't find hearts anywhere in the world. You would have to either have a fairy in a bottle, or you have to go back to one of the larger fairies to restore your health. So if you're in the middle of the dungeon, you're losing hearts. Sometimes you're relying on it. So what I would end up doing is, if I felt like I was losing too much hearts, I would reset the game and go back. You know, I'd lose a bit of progress and then sort of go back, make my way back through parts of the dungeon and just avoid taking damage. But it was so worth it, because by doing it on a no death run, you actually get an extra scene at the end. Post credits, now it really is maybe 15-20 seconds. But it was so worth it, because the emotional impact and significance of those final 20 seconds really solidified this as a fantastic Zelda game for me, and one that I will never forget because of that moment at the very end. Absolutely fantastic. And I was also very fortunate to be able to get my hands on the limited edition, and I really love this limited edition. Great price, a lot of great stuff in it. So I was very excited. So yeah, let me show you all here. These are all 12 games that I beat in 2019. I'm very happy by that. Some being quite big games. For example, Lost Odyssey, Devil May Cry. Oh, Devil May Cry 5, big in terms of its release and stuff, but not big in terms of length. I think that's about 15 hours or so. But we have others like God of War. And, you know, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, Kingdom Hearts 3, we're looking at about 40 or so hours for me. So I consider them big enough. And then again, a few indies here and there, some platformers. Overall, very happy with this. This was just a fantastic year, so I'm very excited to play a lot more in 2020. But let me know some of the games, or if not all the games, you beat in 2019. I hope you'll enjoy this. I would like to wish everyone a fantastic holiday break over the end of the year. Whether it's summer or winter, wherever you are, I wish you all well, good health, good time with family, friends, whoever you may be with. And I look very much forward to chatting to you all in the new year. And I would also love to mention that this is actually the 100th video that I am releasing this year. So this is a bit of a milestone in a way, especially an awesome way to end off the year with this being my 100th video. This is fantastic for me, because last year I think I got about 96 videos out. The year before it was about 95 or 94. So this is the first time ever that I'm releasing 100 videos in a year, and dead on 100 videos. It's very cool. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you'll enjoy. Happy New Year everyone, and until next video, stay spot on.